Thanks, Bob. Welcome to the July 13th meeting of the Rotary Club of Des Moines. I am President Josh Bravey. Thanks to Jeff Stickle and Doug Saltzgaber for being our greeters today. I didn't scare too many people away, so welcome. You made it past our security team. With that, we have a lot of programs to get to today, so we're going to hop right into the Pledge of Allegiance, four-way test, and then we'll do a brief brief. Can you hear that? Yep, I gotta speak closer. Got it. Okay, I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Four-way test.
Is it the truth? Is it fair to all concerned? Will it build goodwill and better friendships? Will it be beneficial to all concerned?
Okay, and we greet one another. We have several guests today, so we're going to start to recognize our guests. All right, for the guests, we'll call your name, please stand, and we'll recognize you really at the end. So Ganesh has two special guests today. His in-laws are visiting us from Florida. Like I said, they brought the weather, but it's been here a while. So Paul and Kathy Basher, it's also Paul's birthday today. So thanks for spending your birthday. Two prospective members today. We have Chris Murnamont, who's an architect and owner at Studio Melee, and also attended our new member social at Jasper Winery. Thanks, Marty. And then my man, Mr. John Finn, general manager at Ahern, also LI 39, best class ever alumni member of mine. So thank you for attending. And then Matt Kiernan as a guest, Marlo Belknap, summer intern at Prairie Meadows, sales and special events. Marlo is also the granddaughter of past district governor and honorary Rotary Club of Des Moines member Dale Belknap. So thank you all for attending. Amy Caller, also her birthday. I don't believe she's here, but her birthday today. So if you see her, wish her a happy birthday. Okay, where in the world is Club 27? For our guest, the Rotary Club of Des Moines, established in 1911 and was the first club in Iowa, is also the 27th club in the world of over 45,000 clubs in over 200 countries. So we have three today. Bob Vedral was recently in Colorado at Rocky Mountain National Park. Past President Sean Mullen and Sherry were in Oklahoma City for business and stopped by a local brewery. Last but never least, Mr. Doug Saltzman visited the Revelton Distillery, which was at our last Iowa Bourbon Tour fellowship at Walk Your Plans a couple of weeks ago. So if you're going somewhere fun, send us a photo, share with the Rotary group kind of where you're going, what you're doing, and also remember to join our fellowship and have a fun social network that you can share advice and upcoming plans with. So we got a big program today, so we'll hop right into the program. Speaker Kelly Baum, so she gave me her introduction, which was about this big, and then I've expanded a little bit. So I'll start with what she gave us humbly, and then I'll expand. So Kelly is the John and Mary Papajohn Director and CEO of the Des Moines Art Center, an art museum, art school, and sculpture park right here in the Des Moines Metro that welcomes, on average, 300,000 visitors a year. Kelly leads a team of 100 full and part-time employees, as well as 50 docents, volunteers, and teaching artists, providing strategic, creative, and financial leadership to the organization. Kelly is a scholar, curator, and executive with 26 years of experience in the museum field. Before arriving at the Art Center in May of 23, she worked for 23 years as a curator of 20th and 21st century art at museums in Houston, Austin, Princeton, and New York City. As most of you may know, most recently at the Metropolitan Museum of Art, she earned a PhD from the University of Delaware and serves on boards of Mainframe Studios and Humanities Iowa. So with that said, that was her short bio. We've had the privilege of working with the Art Center really since building it in 1948, and I've had the honor of working with the Art Center since really I moved back to Des Moines, so over 20 years. I got to know Kelly really right when she started here, and one of the things that I appreciated most is her genuine passion for the Art Center and the people it serves. Working alongside Kelly, it's clear that she genuinely cares about every aspect of the Art Center. She cares deeply about the facility, the experience every visitor has when they walk through the doors, the impact the Art Center has on our community, and probably most importantly, the people who make it all happen each day. She values the perspectives of her staff, embraces their ideas, creates an environment where every voice is heard, respected, and encouraged. The collaborative spirit is reflected, I believe, throughout the organization, and is certainly one of the many reasons the Art Center continues to thrive under her leadership. So with that, will you please welcome Kelly Baum.
Thank you, Josh. That was a lovely, somewhat embarrassing, but thank you. Thank you for knowing me and the Art Center so well. Let's see. So, as Kitty note, how do I advance the? I work at a museum of visual art, and I'm trained as an art historian. I love to make a PowerPoint. I sent Kitty a 63-slide PowerPoint, and then after sending it to Kitty, I asked her if I could edit it. Because I'm also a perfectionist. And she said, well, she actually said yes, but then I learned that it was already queued up, and I decided that I would just let it go. So I'm thrilled to be here. I'm excited to be a part of the Rotary Club. I joined maybe a year and a half ago, and it's thrilling to be able to tell you a little bit about the Art Center, a lot about the Art Center. First, myself, as Josh mentioned, before arriving in Des Moines in May 23, I spent 23 years working as a curator of modern and contemporary art at museums. In Houston, I was at the Museum of Fine Arts Houston, the Blanton Museum of Art at the University of Texas at Austin, image on the far right. I was a founding curator of 20th and 21st century art at the Princeton University Art Museum. And then for 8 years, I was a curator at the Metropolitan Museum of Art, which was an extraordinary experience. I could write a novel about my 8 years at the Met. In 2018, I began to think about a change. I decided that I wanted to lead my own museum. I wanted to be the boss. And so the question became, what museum would I lead? And so I spent 5 years searching, talking, interviewing, and then one day in October 2022, I got an email from the search firm, the headhunter that was looking for the Art Center's new director. I didn't actually answer that email, but they wrote again in a month, and in between those two emails, I had bumped into a former staff member of the Art Center in Venice, Italy, of all places. And we talked shop, we talked a little bit about our professional futures. I mentioned that I was thinking about moving on from the Met, and she said, I have a great idea. The Art Center is looking for a director, you should apply. At which point I realized, I think I got an email from a headhunter about that job. And then they emailed me again a week later, I kid you not. So the stars were aligning, I took the call, I eventually interviewed with the Board of Trustees. It really wasn't until I had known of the Art Center when I got those emails. I had actually borrowed art from the Art Center's collection for an exhibition at the Metropolitan Museum of Art. The Art Center has a tremendous reputation in the art world, in the world. I knew that it was known for an extraordinary collection of art, experimental, groundbreaking exhibitions. I'd never been to Des Moines, I'd rarely been in the Midwest, so there was a lot I didn't know. What really convinced me that the Art Center was a place where I could work, where I could thrive, was the Board of Trustees. Tremendous, tremendous people, in it not for status, not for ego, not for glory. They're in it really for all of you. They're in it for the city of Des Moines and the people who live here. They also struck me, in addition to being really extraordinary, generous, selfless philanthropists, smart. They were smart. They asked me tough questions. I knew I was being tested, and I appreciated that because it convinced me that they really cared about the Art Center. They wanted the very best for the institution. So the Art Center, there are things that you know about the Art Center, but there might be a lot that you don't know. And one of the things that I've learned after working here for 3 years is that folks in town think they know the Art Center, but don't. It's still something of a mystery. Some of you might not have been there, or were last there when you were in 4th grade. So I'm going to give you a bit of a primer. We have a budget, annual budget, of $11 million a year. We are not a small startup. We're not a scrappy organization. We are a large, complex business that happens to be a nonprofit, but we are a business with an annual operating budget of $11 million, a staff of full and part-time employees of 100. We work with around 80 docent volunteers who provide tours, and oversee programs, teaching artists. We hire 68 teaching artists for our school, our community access programs. We're governed by a board of trustees that currently, on which currently sits 22. Rick Ballinger from John Deere is our president. So we are a nonprofit. We're a 501c3, and that means that the vast majority of our resources are donated. So we are fueled by contributed revenue. And keep that in mind, an $11 million budget a year, we are fueled by donations. So of our operating budget, about 50% derives from our endowment and our trust. And this is invested income that began with a gift and is fueled by continuing gifts. So generosity makes the Art Center go round. 15% of our annual operating budget derives from earned revenue, our shop, our art school, and our cafe. And then finally, 35% of our annual operating budget derives from contributed revenue, donations. Our Director of Development, the team, we have to raise almost $4 million a year to provide the programs, the opportunities, the education that everyone here takes advantage of for free. And I'm very proud to do that. This is a beautiful image of the Art Center, maybe circa 1950, not long after Newman, the Newman Construction Company built the wing for us. I pulled some data from our 2025 annual report. In 2025, we welcomed 240,000 guests to the Art Center and the Sculpture Park. They hailed from 20 countries, not including the US, all 50 states and Puerto Rico, and each of the 99 counties in Iowa. I think that's extraordinary. And that represented a 28% increase in attendance over 2024. That is extraordinary, that is unheard of. That is a result of some hard work, a lot of strategic investment, creative changes, opportunities seized. We are in the middle of a renaissance, I like to say. And I'm very proud of the renaissance that I've started with the team. So the Art Center began as a dream, the figment of James Edmondson's imagination and hopes for the city. James Edmondson in 1933 donated his estate to a future art center. So the donation that fueled the Art Center's creation was made about 15 years before we opened our doors. That is extraordinary. That is visionary civic philanthropy. James Edmondson, as he was writing his will, decided that the city needed an art museum. It needed an art school. He understood that a great city needs great cultural and educational pillars, cornerstones, and he made that happen by making a gift in his estate for a future art museum. And that takes a lot of trust and a lot of courage. And that gift, which was worth about $500,000 in 1933, was the basis for our endowment. So what is the Art Center? This is interesting. I learned that not everyone knows what the Art Center actually consists of. We are an art museum and an art school and a sculpture park. So the Papa John Sculpture Park, which is sometimes voted as one of the top cultural attractions in Des Moines alongside the Art Center, guess what? They're the same thing. But that's okay, you can vote for us twice. I thought about making a t-shirt, #1 and #2, every single year. So very proud of that. Admission to our exhibitions, our galleries and programs is always free. We believe that access to arts and culture is a right, not a privilege, not a luxury. What is free for our guests, for all of you, is not free for us. We subsidize admission. And so when we fundraise every year, much of the $3.8 million that we fundraise covers the cost of admission for every person who walks through our doors. By way of comparison, I included the cost of entering other museums in the country. I'm having trouble reading, my reading glasses don't work on the screen and my printed material is a little small. Art Institute of Chicago, $32. Metropolitan Museum of Art, $30. Omaha Zoo, does that say $33? The Field Museum is $30. Going to see a movie. How many of you are going to see The Odyssey this weekend? I am. That's $12.75 at Cinemark. You can enter the St. Louis Museum of Art for free, but to visit their special exhibition, that's $20. We offer all of our galleries, programs, lectures, and exhibitions for free. They are expensive to host. They're expensive to make. But again, we absorb that cost to make sure that art remains a right, not a privilege. We are 1 year into a new 5-year strategic plan. We spent all of 2024 as a staff, as a board, building a new strategic plan. There are 3 pillars to our strategic plan: be a welcoming home for all, bring the world to Iowa, and Iowa to the world, build, sorry, now I'm having trouble reading. I think that says grow our revenue streams sustainably, and then finally champion caretaking and stewardship, not just of our buildings or our collection, but also our people and our guests. So we are an institution that leads with our values, we lead with our principles. In addition to respect, integrity, collaboration, continuous reflection, we also like to lead with the idea of cosmopolitanism. And this is a belief, it begins with a belief in the importance of conversation, the importance of sharing perspectives across distance. In our strategic plan, we talk about building bridges that cross differences and distances. We want to bring people from different walks of life with different points of view together in one space. We also talk a lot about hospitality, and I'm a nerd. I like to look up the origin of words. I'm always on the OED, Oxford English Dictionary, Googling words and their etymology. Hospitality means giving space and comfort to strangers. So we think about hospitality as being friendly, being nice. It's actually much more than that. To be truly hospitable means to be friendly, to provide comfort to people you do not know and might disagree with. Hospitality is something that's actually quite hard to exercise, something that's quite hard to do. We are doing serious training around customer service. We talk about hospitality all the time. Oh, and if you have not read this amazing book, Unreasonable Hospitality, you should. It was on no less than The Bear. It's a great book. The Art Center is home to a collection of 6,600 objects. Paintings, sculptures, photographs, and prints. The earliest was made in 2700 BC, and the most recent was made in 2025. 6,600 masterpieces live at the Art Center, and we care for them for the public. On the left is the earliest work in the Art Center's collection made on the island of the Cyclades, many thousands of years ago. A print you see in the middle by Albrecht Dürer, Melancholia from 1514. Our beautiful John Singer Sargent, which is recently back from a tour in New York and Paris. I could go on and on. I'm just going to shower you with beautiful images of works of art, many of them on view. Good old Grant Wood. We co-own this painting with the Minneapolis Institute of Arts. It's coming back this summer. We'll have it on view by August. Edward Hopper, a favorite, so famous that it appeared on a US stamp. Georgia O'Keeffe, Henri Matisse. This is a beautiful painting by Gabriela Muncher. It was above the fold in the New York Times. So we lent this painting. Museums from around the world contact the Art Center to borrow works of art in our collection. We lend them begrudgingly because we know our people want to see them when they visit, but occasionally there's a request that's just too good to pass up. The Guggenheim Museum in New York was organizing a retrospective of this amazing German artist who is not as well known as she should be. They made our painting the cover of their book. They put it on all the merch that they sold in their store, and the New York Times featured our painting above the fold in their review of the exhibition. This is Des Moines, Gabriela Muncher. This belongs to all of you. You should be very proud. Francis Bacon, Mark Rothko, now we're to the 60s, some funky mod abstractions, experimental art from the 1960s, including Andy Warhol, photographs. We are home to thousands of photographs from the 19th century all the way up to the present day. We are in the process of receiving a gift of 700 photographs from Jeff Perry, the grandson grandson of age blank. The photographs range in date from the 1850s all the way up to the present day. We always have photographs on view in the galleries. And these are just a few examples. And they hail from countries all over the world, different continents, North America, Africa, Europe, and beyond. And then two of my favorite contemporary works of art, Teresita Fernandez and Hugh Hayden. So beautiful grounds, architectural landmarks, Josh knows all about those. We are home to three buildings designed by magnificent architects. Three of the most important architects of the 20th century built the Art Center's campus. There is nowhere else on the planet Earth that you will find buildings on 1 square acre by Eliel Saarinen, I.M. Pei, and Richard Meyer. These are architects about which there are books and books and more books. I have them in my office. I know there are a lot. The first building opened in 1948. There is a typo on the slide. This is what I was desperate to fix. So I'm going to advance really quickly before anyone sees it. There you go. And here we are in three of the most beautiful galleries in the Saarinen building, the A.H. Blank and the Kyle and Sharon Krause galleries, where you'll see quite a bit of our historical material. My favorite building, I call it a spaceship, a cathedral designed by I.M. Pei in 1968. The Pei building and the Saarinen building are recognized by the National Register of Historic Places. Guess what other buildings are on that register? The State Capitol, the Empire State Building, the Vietnam Memorial. We are home to magnificent buildings. An interior shot of Pei. The Richard Meyer building, our third building, opened in 1985. This will eventually be added to the National Register as well. The Sculpture Park, this is a partnership with the City of Des Moines. You were all here, probably. I was not, in 2009 when it opened. This is, again, it's an example of the catalytic energy that comes about when private institution partners with the city, with the state. Public-private partnerships are always exciting. In this case, they resulted in the transformation of a beautiful park, Western Gateway Park, into one of the centerpieces of the city of Des Moines. It is almost a portrait itself of the city of Des Moines. In addition to helping fund the transformation of Western Gateway into a sculpture park, John and Mary Papajohn donated 40 sculptures worth $40 million to the Art Center. They live outside for the benefit and enjoyment of all of you, of every guest, every visitor. You're able to visit the park for free 7 days a week, 365 days a year. We bear the cost of maintaining the park. The city handles the grass, the watering, some of the maintenance, but caring for these sculptures, which are outside every day in pretty extreme weather, they need to be rebuilt, conserved, preserved. We recently took Nomad by Plensa off view, piece by piece. It was cleaned, it was repainted, and then reassembled. We were the very lucky recipient of a grant from Prairie Meadows to help conserve Nomad and also improve accessibility and security in the sculpture park. 127,000 people visited the sculpture park last year, as per the city's count. It could be higher. Those counters in the park are not all of that reliable. Programs and community impact, so exhibitions. We organize 11, 10, 12 exhibitions a year, it varies every year. Exhibitions of art, imagine, these are the museum equivalent of a Broadway play or an opera. They take a lot of work, a lot of research, a lot of planning. They're complicated, they're expensive. We offer them to the public for free. In 2025, our exhibitions brought artists to Des Moines from countries all over the world, cities all over Iowa, Sioux City, Des Moines itself, but also Haiti, the Dominican Republic, Argentina, Mexico, and more. You don't need to travel, it's nice to travel, but if you feel like you might want to dip a toe in the Caribbean, you can just visit the Art Center and see some beautiful paintings and sculptures. These are two of the exhibitions we have on view right now, an exhibition of moving images by a French artist, Christine Rebet, and a wonderful exhibition of prints from the early 20th century about the theme of merrymaking. We also have a beautiful exhibition up right now called Topographies, about place and home, and another lovely exhibition that features photographs by the New York-based artist Al Perez, taken at her father's home in Cuba, and also Monet's garden outside of Paris. Learning, engagement, and education. We are an educational institution. We are devoted to lifelong learning. We want to help people grow, educate, know the world, and know themselves better. Last year, 12,000, almost 13,000 people took advantage of tours of the Art Center and Sculpture Park. We have a couple of signature events that we host once or twice a year. One of our most popular is Entirely Kids Day. Last year, almost 1,300 kids attended Entirely Kids Day. Day of the Dead. For 25 years, we've been working with members of the community to host a Day of the Dead celebration. Last year, 2,600 people flooded the Art Center. It was too crowded. It was too crowded. I was glad the fire marshal wasn't there. Don't say anything. We also host events that have a big impact on maybe a smaller number of people. The My Voice program, which is funded with a grant from Principal Foundation. In the case of this program, which we run with the By Degrees Foundation, we host 13 students, elementary, middle, and high school. They are essentially interns at the Art Center for a period of 4 months. They study the collection, and then they make works of art themselves in response to what they learn, and we put that that art on display at the Art Center. Visit our website, take a look at the newsletter on your table. Every single day, there is at least 2 or 3 things happening at the Art Center. There might be a workshop, there might be a tour, there might be art for brunch. There's a lot going on, and much of it happens for free. Social Saturdays, this is a series that we introduced in January. Imagine a mini arts festival. Every second Saturday of the month, a different theme. The theme for August is silent disco. And some of you might know what silent disco is. You do, excellent. Okay, so I'll see you there. Community Access Program, this is a beautiful part of the Art Center's operations. It really is the kind of beating heart, the ethical light of what we do. The Art Center, as part of this program, partners with 40 nonprofits and social service organizations, from Big Brothers and Big Sisters to Iowa Department for the Blind, Child Serve Beacon, which is a shelter for women in crisis, Feed DSM, Lutheran Service of Iowa, Woodward Academy, and more. We provide free workshops and classes to the communities that these nonprofits serve. And these are individuals with very specific needs. They range from immigrants to vets, to women in crisis, to disabled youth. We provide to 2,600 people last year. We offered 500 free workshops and classes. And these are life-changing workshops and classes. We know because the students write to us all the time about the importance of these workshops to their well-being. We have an art school. We offer for people of all ages in nearly every medium classes for thousands of individuals. These are very modestly priced classes. The art school is a line item under earned revenue. Really, we just break even. But to make sure that everyone has access to the art school, we offer $42,000 a year in scholarships. $42,000 a year to cover tuition and supplies for anyone who writes to us and says, I would like to take a ceramics class, I cannot afford the clay, or I cannot afford the fee. We will find a way to make sure that they get in anyway. Here are some students working in our painting studios, some students in our printmaking studios. The studios are tremendous. So why art? I want to end with this question. There is a lot of science now around the importance of art. We know, based on scientific research, that engaging with art has a positive impact on one's cognitive, physical, emotional, and psychological health, especially if you engage in the arts, and that's making or learning with other people in community. The Wallace Foundation has run studies that show that for youth in particular, there are relational outcomes for youth who engage with arts, but there are also opportunity outcomes, and they are measurable. There are some books that have come out in just the last few years by neuroscientists working at Johns Hopkins, working in London, and they are studying the impact of engagement with the arts on the brain. This is serious research. This is a great book, Your Brain on Art, which was written by Susan Maximin and Ivy Ross. Susan is based at Johns Hopkins. A recent book called Art Cure, Daisy Farrencourt, worth reading. There are labs devoted to studying the impact of arts on health. There's one at NYU that is co-funded by none other than the WHO, the World Health Organization. The cafe, if you eat at the Art Center's wonderful cafe, you are also supporting the Art Center. There is joy to be had here at the cafe, especially if you marry it with a tour of our galleries. And then finally, I want to end with this. The Art Center's horizon line is long. I am not just planning for next week or next year. We are thinking about the future. We are thinking about the long term. We are engaged in a laddered decision-making process that will ensure that we are thriving, not just surviving, but thriving in 2048 when we turn 100. So we want to know, and this is what we're in the process of determining, what do we need to do? What do we need to fix? What do we need to build? What do we need to make in order to ensure that everyone here, your grandchildren, your great-grandchildren, have access to an art center that is even better than the one that exists right now? So my job, I like to say, is to make sure that everyone has fallen in love with the art center as much as I have. I thought I loved it when I arrived. I love it every day. I actually miss it. I am looking forward to my vacation in northern Minnesota in a week. But when I come back in 2 weeks, I will be so pleased to walk through the door. And I encourage all of you to patronize the arts, whether you love the ballet, whether you love music, whether you love visual arts. Engage with it, patronize it, visit, shop in the store, buy a lunch, become a member. Don't take us for granted. We cannot be complacent. The work of building the Art Center, of building your opera, of building your performing arts center, your ballet, that work is not over. The work of making the Art Center did not end in 1985 when we opened our third wing. We need to continue to invest in the Art Center. We need to continue to invest in arts and culture. So don't be complacent. Engage, give, advocate, and participate. That's all I have for you. Thank you. I think we're doing okay on time. Yes.
How do you extend the education process? For example, you have teachers and students come. Do you give teachers any material, or to say when you go back to your classroom, you go more in depth? on this so that learning continues?
Yes, so we are educators. We have a large team in the Museum Learning and Engagement Department. It's about 7. It could be bigger. They have very close ties to the schools and school principals, art teachers, and they are in conversation with them about what they need, what they're teaching, what they're learning. We engage with them usually at the beginning of every year. Those are strong and durable relationships. We are also supplementing what is happening in the schools because, of course, public schools are under pressure from budget cuts. Art is usually one of the very first things to go, and so we try to fill all of those gaps. We also are getting better at offering what we call adaptive lessons. So we recognize that not every student learns the same way. Not every student can make art the same way. So how can we adapt our lessons? How can we adapt actually just the tools for making a painting to ensure that students, every single one of them, is able to participate equally? Mm-hmm.
I have to ask, what is silent disco?
Okay. Will, would you like to?
You get to put on these headphones.
Oh, so somebody, I forgot, I'm supposed to repeat the question. What is silent disco?
So you get to put these headphones on, you go, it's a whole bunch of people with headphones on, and they have different vibes of music, usually, that you can listen to, all different types of music, and you pick what kind of music you want to listen to, and you just kind of groove to it while everyone's just silent. So if you have the headphones off, everyone's just quietly going.
Yeah.
You might be listening, sometimes it can be country, it can be jazz, it can be all kinds of stuff, but everyone's doing their own private vibe.
Yeah, so imagine a disco. So this we'll be hosting a disco, a silent disco at the Art Center, and everyone there will be vibing to a different tune that no one else can hear, but you will be visible dancing. And some of the other themes are Love It or Leave It. We hosted a really fun social Saturday on Valentine's Day. There's one coming up called Great Outdoors, and so we'll really take advantage of the beautiful park in which we sit. But, yes.
I had a question on, when the collection shared across other museums, is that primarily an opportunity to get pieces here, or is that a funding opportunity? And then what type of strategy do you have? So Rothko, you had mentioned, and that's made a lot of news for being one of the most valuable artists in the world right now. Are you looking out 10, 20 years on what's going to be hot?
Oh,
then?
yes, yeah. So those are 2 good questions. So there was one question about loans, and I'm glad you asked that question. So museums share. We really have an ethical responsibility to share our treasures with other institutions, because in sharing them with other institutions, we share them with more people. In this case, when we share a work of art, we're very discerning, and so we are looking for exhibitions that need the work in our collection, that are going to highlight it, exhibitions that will result in new research, new scholarship on the artist. We like exhibitions at places where there's a lot of visibility, because that's great for the Art Center, but we also share our collection with smaller institutions that maybe just don't have the resources we do. We like to share in state. So one of our most famous sculptures by Red Grooms, it's his homage to the Iowa State Fair, is up right now in Sioux City. We also borrow art from other museums. So a lot of the special exhibitions that are on view right now, we supplement those exhibitions with works that we borrow from New York, from LA, and sometimes even from farther beyond. And then your second question was about
strategy.
Strategy, yes. So a collection of 6,600 objects. We buy art every year. We also receive hundreds of works of art as gifts. So it's when we're purchasing art that we have the chance to be especially strategic. One of the things that has always impressed me about the Art Center is that from the very beginning, the director and the curators have chosen extremely well. Their strategy begins with less, not more, quality over quantity. So we will never have a collection the size of Cleveland's. They have hundreds of thousands of objects in that collection. We have only, quote unquote, 6,600. We also have relatively limited resources when it comes to purchasing a work. So we have to know that we are buying the best piece by the best artist. We don't only collect contemporary art, but we primarily collect it because that's what's affordable. We could never afford to buy a Rembrandt, or a Rothko right now. But that Rothko we bought at a time when it was affordable. So we have to be a little bit ahead of the curve. We have to be, and we are, the curators and I, we're out in the world, we're looking, we're talking, we're strategizing. What's really, really good? What do we want to represent here? What's right for the Art Center? And what will likely be super important? What will be in the art history textbooks 20 years from now when we cannot afford it? So it's about striking while the iron is hot. I will say that tomorrow, sometime next week, we are going to be putting on display a magnificent sculpture that we're adding to the collection. It's just a huge coup for the city of Des Moines. So anyway, I'm not going to say anything other than that, but it just means you have to visit.
Mary, thank you for your presentation, and thank you for being a Rotarian. On behalf of a friend, I'm asking, what's the process for submitting locally produced artwork to the Art Center? Because I know my friend, Mr. Edwards, wants to donate several of his Big Chief tablet and crayon sketches. But do you just accept art without criticizing it, or what's the part?
Well, so I'm going to, the question was about making gifts to the Art Center, and I can't tell if you were serious or joking, so I'm going to.
You don't know me well enough.
Okay, I don't. So Iowa artists. Iowa artists are a very important part of the Art Center's collection and exhibition program. Once a year, we host an Iowa artist exhibition. This year it was Henry Payer, an indigenous artist based in Sioux City. The year before it was Ben Millette, who was a studio in Mainframe. Next year, actually I cannot announce next year's artist yet, but that person is based in Iowa City. So once a year we give over an entire exhibition to an Iowa artist. We also love to represent the work of Iowa artists in our collection. And it's part of our strategic plan, bring the world to Iowa, but also bring the Iowa to the world. So by highlighting the work of homegrown talent in the Art Center, we bring visibility to it. And we have quite a few historic artists who are based in Iowa in the collection. But we're just as discriminating around gifts, proposed gifts, as we are purchases. We're working, for the collection is a kind of art history textbook in the making. Mm-hmm.
Has any pilot program or study been done about early childhood immersement into the arts, such as a preschool or a after-school program where take, for example, a preschool where they come in and they get their normal preschool learning, but they're also immersed in art and culture like that?
Yes. So I mentioned earlier a study by the Wallace Foundation, and the Wallace Foundation is devoted to supporting education, and they're very interested in the relationship between education, arts, and well-being. Particularly for youth. And so their research, and I can't answer it as well as the Wallace Foundation would, but the study that I've read and that I cite here suggests that there is a lot of research, there is a lot of data, that the more frequently you're able to put pencils and brushes, in front of young children, the more frequently you're able to get them into museums to look and talk and discuss. You will find that there are relational outcomes, building friendships, communication, but there are also opportunity outcomes, which go really more towards professional development, growing into your own maturity. So it is good for your health to engage with the arts, and the sooner that we get people into it, the better. We received some feedback from our friends at the Beacon who work with women and children who are in residence at that shelter. And I was so moved when Amy told me that The class that our teaching artist led for her group, it was the first time that some of those women had held a paintbrush in decades. Because they had not had the opportunity, the time, the money, they hadn't had the space, the safe space to engage in something that we take for granted, which is self-reflection and creativity. And I would say the same is probably for those children. They produced a magnificent art that we installed at the Art Center, and it was healing. I mean, and that's anecdotal data, but there's also now scientific data. It is literally healing.
And take Joel as the last one.
For like school-age kids over the last 20 years, is art like growing or contracting or
Oh, in terms of kids, just,
involvement?
that's a good question. We're seeing our numbers go up. And I think that's a combination of us offering more opportunities to learn. So more classes at different times of the day, more scholarships, more tours. So we're investing in opportunities, and that's bringing more people to us. I think that when you see opportunities contract, you will see interest contract too. So I don't know exactly how to answer that question, but I do know that when there is a chance to engage with an art workshop or a tour, a gallery tour, kids leap at it. They want to do it. I have to take a lead.
Well, thank you for covering a lot of territory, but I have to tell them what happened in 1917. The Fine Arts Association of Des Moines wrote the concept for this at the Public Library of Des Moines at 100 Locust on the riverfront. And that collection stayed there in our building at 100 Locust until the Art Center opened in 1947.
Yes.
It's
I know, we had a predecessor, the Des Moines Fine Arts Association, as Elaine said. It was very pressing. It was collecting art in the early 20th century, and there are works of art that the association purchased, which are now in the Art Center's collection, and they purchased works of art by one of the first professionally trained Black artists in the country, Henry Osawa Tanner. So prescient, smart, and really on the ball. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you, Kelly. Wonderful program. We certainly appreciate you taking your time and also for being a member of the Rotary Club of Des Moines. She underplayed their vetting process, which I had rumors of. Salt Scaver and Skeet have applied numerous times to be play mods. So quality certainly does matter. Sorry. Okay, upcoming meetings. Next week, Kathy Underhill, CO of DMARC, July 30th, Claudia Schabel, our own Rotary Club of Des Moines member and president CEO of Iowa Women's Foundation. And then August 6th, Kevin Nordmeyer, architect and principal at BNIM, will talk about the Harkin Institute. In relation to the Art Center, there's also on August 6th, which there'll be information on the table next week, and Graham will talk about it, but a great Meet the Artist event on August 6th for a project that is in honor of a Rotary Club member that is taking place at Waterworks Park currently. So more information next week on that, but we do hope that some Rotarians will come and meet the artist on the evening of August 6th. So more to come next week. Fellowship opportunities. July 30th is our a golf outing, 9 holes, not a golf outing, golf event, 9 holes at Bright Grandview Golf Course that Austin sent out. So please let him know if you're interested in attending. August 12th, we have BYOB, Bring Your Own Bourbon, for the Bourbon Fellowship at Christy Edwards' house. She'll have mixers and kind of share your favorite beverages, and we promised the cops we would behave last week, so please do so. Pickleball will be coming in August, and then September 15th, so there's a flyer on everyone's table. You've also got an email probably en route to here for more information about that. But kind of some fun club pride for September 15th. We'll be having a 2-person best ball outing at Waveland. We've invited the rest of the Rotary clubs in the Des Moines Metro. It's a member guest opportunity, so the intent is to share what Rotary is, what good work we do, and in hopes of growing our club and getting some new members through the fun of golf. So that is on your table. Please take them if you would like. RSVP as soon as you can, because we are limited on tee times. And then September 24th, we are at the Art Center for a new member social. Thank you, Kelly, for a generous rate to host this event. So that was very nice. But 4 to 6, the new member social will be held at the Art Center in the courtyard. Explore some galleries, bring a prospective member. The intent of that event will be to really appreciate our new members, bring prospective members, and again, just share how great Rotary is, and in hopes of kind of gaining memberships and growing our club. We'll have live music, we'll have appetizers, the galleries will be open. The weather will hopefully be sub 85, which will be lovely. So it'll be a great event. So think about that now. We'll send information on that later as well, but by no means can you start early for now to find that prospective member. So please do so, and let's have a fun night at the Art Center. Thank you for being with us today. Thanks for being a vital part of Rotary. Make the most of your Rotary journey this week. We are officially adjourned.